today. My name is Shannon and this is my YouTube channel, Whisky and Wool, coming to you today from my home in northern New Jersey, where I work and live and craft. I hope you're doing well. It's a gorgeous freaking day here. It is so pretty. I went out for a walk earlier today and you probably saw a clip of the Hudson River. I live on the Jersey side of the Hudson River, right across from New York City. My home lines up with about the 70s, if you know the Manhattan layout, and if you've ever been wondering where exactly I am. But yeah, that's what you're seeing is like those, probably about those 20 blocks or so, just north of the Central Park South, like the 50s, from the 50s to the 70s or so. But yeah, anyway, hope you're doing well. Hope it is gorgeous where you are, or at least it's gorgeous, you're doing gorgeous work, or you're crafting on some beautiful things that's bringing you joy. I'm gonna talk to you today and get you caught up on my projects. I just realized that there's a whole lot of headroom over my head and I could do a better job showing you what I'm wearing, which is a finished object. I am wearing Get Out of the Pool Tee by Beth MacDonald Stone. Finished earlier this week. I made it out of some silk tweed by Aimée. It is 100% silk noil yarn. Let's see if I can find yes, silk tweed, she calls it. 100% silk noil in the colorway Pinkfetti. Oh, there you go. I only needed 3 skeins. In fact, I didn't use all of the third skein. I didn't get gauge. I don't know if I've really talked about this yet, about the sweater on previous episodes, but I didn't get gauge. I knit a little bit bigger than the gauge that the pattern laid out. The pattern is actually written for superwash, indie dyed, variegated yarns, and it's Get Out of the Pool to help you manage where your yarn pools. Mine was more of a speckle, although there are these bright pink spots that would make it more of a variegated, and you could see that the pattern does a really great job of evening those out, and it's a beautifully designed pattern that really just helps you manage that pooling effect in a really nice way. I ended up knitting the size 1 in order to get a finished chest of bust measurement of about 45 inches. So I have quite a lot of extra ease here. I'll put a picture on screen of me wearing it. I have worn it already to work and I love it. It's a really awesome sweater. I will 10 out of 10 make another one for sure. I actually want to try the pooling effect and see how it works out. I'm sure it will. But yeah, it's beautiful for this beautiful summer tea. Like, it's breezy and airy, and the drape is just really nice. I would actually highly suggest this yarn for this pattern. I think it's really great. It's a great summer weight, really nice, and feels lightweight, doesn't feel warm on the skin at all. Even though silk is insulating just as wool is, doesn't feel that way. So yeah, what else can I tell you about it? I think you do knit it in pieces. You knit the front and then you knit the back. The back is knit slightly smaller than the front, so that slightly narrower, so that you get a really nice neck drop here in the front. Then you do the cuffs, the sleeve cuffs, in a 2x2 rib. You do mattress stitch the shoulders, or was it a 3 needle bind off? No, it's a mattress stitch. Yes, mattress stitch the shoulders, and before you do the sleeve cuff, and then you mattress stitch the underarm, which I didn't have any trouble doing it. It was just something that I finished the knitting part, and it took me probably another week to get the stitching done, only because I procrastinated on doing it, not because it took a long time. It did not take long at all. I think I didn't look at the pattern. I should have before I started filming, but I think I think you leave the sides open at the hem. But I did not. I stitched them up and then afterwards thought to myself, like, was I supposed to leave that open? And I don't recall whether you're supposed to leave the shoulder seam exposed, like, so that there'd be a little bit of an edge here. I didn't. My seam is on the inside, but you could do whatever you like with your project. But yeah, I really, really love it. So happy it's done and I can wear it, and I'm already figuring out how many times can I wear it to work before people get tired of seeing me in it. I also think it could be nice as a slip over a white button down or something like that in the, as it starts getting cooler, or maybe in the spring as it starts to get warmer, but it's not quite warm enough to go in short sleeves. But yeah, otherwise, I don't know what else I can tell you about it. I really, really love it. Really love it. All right, let's move on to my whips. So Martha, my mannequin, she is wearing, is she facing you? Yeah, she is. She's a little angled away from me. She's wearing so Martha is wearing the Seine sweater, based on the Seine River in Paris. I did a little cast on with me, about where I did a cast on with me. My last cast on with me episode was this sweater, where I did a deep dive into the inspiration, the Breton sweater, which is a common pattern where there's this big yoke and then regular stripes on the body and on the sleeves. So I talked a lot about that and that. I'm not going to get into it too much, other than to say that I really love the way this is coming out. I am making, did I get gauge? I do not recall. It's unusual for me to get gauge. I'm going to just look it up real fast to give you those details. Okay, I'm making the size 2. I didn't get gauge. I'm making the size 2 for a 42-inch finished chest. Martha, my mannequin, is my size pretty much. Her bust measurement is the same as mine. So at least, and that's the biggest measurement that matters, like, for a sweater. So you can get an idea of the amount of ease. I think it lends me about 4 inches of positive ease, but I do also think that the yarn is gonna relax when I block it. I am almost done with the body. I have another stripe repeat to do, and then I'll do the hem. I think you do a double knit hem, if I'm not mistaken, so that would bring it down to like about here in terms of length. I think the idea with this sweater is that, well, you can style it however you like, but I think the designer intended for it to be able to be tucked in and for it to look like a tunic, less so than like a bunched in, like gathered in sweater. So, because I think you do the same neck trim on the bottom, on the cuffs and the bottom of the sweater. It's a double knit sleeve. It's a double knit neckband. I've never done a double knit band of any type on any of my garments, so this was an interesting technique to practice. It takes a long while because you're knitting both sides of fabric. I'll put in some close-up footage of. I'll overlay some close-up footage here of that band so that you can see what I'm talking about. But it's an interesting construction. Takes a long time to knit, longer than it would take if I was just doing a 1x1 rib knit band. So yeah, this is this really interesting new to me yarn. I think it's a fairly new yarn, just generally speaking. It is Fleece and Flax by Sonder Yarn Company, a 75% BFL, 25% linen yarn. It has a really beautiful hand. I think it's gonna block beautifully. I'm using, the main color is this color called Clean Slate, and the contrast color is called Wake Up. It's this lemon zesty color. I think this is undyed, this color here, so all of the color palette of this yarn line has like kind of these muted shades, because the base, I think, is this sort of natural color, I believe. I might be wrong, but I think that's the case. But yeah, it's like, it's coming along. It's a real, it's, you know, knitting stripes is very potato chippy in a way, like you just, one more row, I'm almost there, one more row. So it's like been a pretty good knit. And it's also, I'm back at school again. I'm a university administrator and professor. We started back just before Labor Day in the US, so like right at the end of August. So we're like 2 weeks into the semester, and I'm already grading papers. So knitting something like this, where it's just stockinette in the round, is really great for those moments. And I feel like I'm making progress on my projects as I'm reading through. So I'll put, you know, my laptop on my lap and then read the student's paper, stop and do markups and stuff as I go, and knit. It just helps me concentrate and all that jazz. But yeah, what else can I tell you? The little cables in the yoke, I think, are what make this sweater special and unique for a Breton sweater. It was very easy to memorize, the cable twisting and stuff. No, I had no problem. Oh, I talked about this last time. I did more increases early on in the raglan increases. It's a raglan setup. And I mean, I think this is probably a nice illustration of how those double increases really work. So when I talked about this last time, when I made the Rumble Raglan by Lydia Morrow, I made it last year, I think. She, in her, in some of her sizes, she did, instead of doing the traditional knit around, increase around, knit around, increase around, knit around, increase around, which is what you frequently see in Scandinavian sweaters, she did 2 increases on each side. So instead of having a total of 4 increases in a round, she had 8 increases. So you would do 2 increases in the same spot where you would normally do 1. And that causes this line to grow more quickly. And you can actually see very clearly on Martha, that although I did that, and as I was doing it, I was thinking, like, I'm not going to get lines like this, I'm going to get lines like this. It really actually doesn't look like that on the body. Instead, it just created more fabric in this area right here. So I ended up with more width here so that it would fit me better in that section of my body, because I am definitely like a squared shoulder person, where like my shoulders go out and down. I don't have that any sort of rounded slope at all, and doing those single increases in every other row single increase in a raglan setup never fits me right. I just end up with like the neck rising up too high and having bunching right through here. So I already know, like, doing those double increases, like, it really can't increase fast enough for me. Like, I could start the double increases right off the bat. I think I wrote notes though in my project page on Ravelry of what exactly I did. I believe I did 3 single increases. I started with 3 single increases, then I did all the double increases. Like all the increases just got doubled. So instead of it being like increases spread across this much, it was all the increases are right here. And then I did no increases until I got to the very end of the raglan. I saved 1 round single increases for the second to last row before I split for the sleeves, just because I wanted to give myself a little tiny like lip. If you're a sewist, like you're understanding the shape and stuff that I'm trying to air draw very well, because if you've looked at a raglan sleeve pattern of a cut and sew garment, you know exactly the shape I'm talking about, where the shoulders are curved more like this and with a little bit of a lip on either side of the sleeve. So that was my goal, and I think I'm gonna end up with a better fitting garment for me. So, I mean, you may not need those increases, but if you are someone who has more square shoulders and find that traditional raglan sweaters don't fit you well, or have like bunching in here on you, you probably just need to do more increases faster. And it works better to do 2 every other round than do 1 every round, like 2 increases in 4 spots every round rather than doing increases every round. It just lays nicer, I think. And I think the knitting, the fabric knits in a smoother manner where it'll lay across your upper body a little bit better. That's my 2 cents on that. All right. I have a new cast on. Let me show you my before I jump there. There is a cast on that you saw last time that I have not, or a project that I made last time that I haven't made a lot of progress on, but I warned you that this was going to be, although it's a fast knit and I can easily make it in a week or 2 at the most, this was going to go slower because I was going to be spending more time on the 2 projects that I had on the needles. So I am making a scrappy blanket. This is a 1x1 stitch blanket where you hold multiple strands of yarn together. And this, it's the equivalent, it ends up being like the equivalent of what 10 or 12 strands of fingering weight yarn would be. I have a lot of DK scraps of, that are in this like sort of white, blush pink, beige category. Or color family, and so I'm holding fewer than 12 right now, but a lot of these are DK weight. So yeah, I'm doing this scrappy blanket. I think last time I was maybe here. This is the kind of project that when you knit 1 row, you've made more than a half an inch of progress. So knitting like 5 rows, you've got 2.5, 3 inches more. So that was pretty much the state of this. What will be a throw. It's bunched up on my needles a bit. The idea of it is that it'll be throw size, which is more or less like 60 by 40-ish, 48. I think I figured out that the width would be 48 inches, and I'm going to knit it until it's 60 or 65 inches long. I'm just knitting on real fat needles, 12 millimeter or US size 17 needles. Holding all those strands, and then what I do is when one of the skeins runs out, I attach the equivalent of more yarn, and yeah, just cruising along on this. I really love it. It's so pretty. I love how the yarns marl into this really beautiful, like, no color neutral kind of thing. Just to give you a peek of my knitting bag, this is full of white and blush and beige colored yarns, scrappy, bits that have been left over from previous projects, all different weights, fingering, worsted, and I also have some mohair. I have some dribs and drabs of blush and white mohair that I'm knitting into the project. I do have like a couple vivid colors. Like there's a fairly vivid pink that, and I actually am toying with the idea of throwing this in. I did put what was the end of the third skein in the basket, so that will be coming up, but I might end up knitting this whole skein in there. I'm not sure. I'm gonna see how it goes. I'm gonna see how the progress goes, because that's the one thing that I don't have down pat, is like, is that massive bag of yarn gonna be enough? I'm not sure. But I do use white quite a lot in my knits, and I was even thinking like this natural colored yarn here, if I end up with a scrappy bit, I'll probably put that in, because that's about the color of the beiges that are in the basket already. And yeah, I have another project that I'm about to show you that I'm using white for, and I know I'm going to end up with a bit of that left. And I have the next project that I'm planning to cast on, and I'll probably cast it on next weekend. That one is also got white, so I think I'll have some more white scrappy bits, and I have another couple sweaters coming down the pike that will also have white. So there's always plenty of white yarn to save up for this type of project. But I have made these 1x1 throws before. I made them in 2023. I made one way back, probably like 10 years ago. I can see it from where I'm sitting, and my cats have adopted it. They freaking love it. And because they love it so much, it's so well loved by them, I wash it frequently, and it has felted and shrunk somewhat. So that was probably the first 1x1 throw that I made. And it was really pretty when it was new. It's pretty felted now. It still looks nice, but it's really a cat blanket, and it's not much bigger than cat size. But anyway, I probably talked most about making these 1x1 scrappy blankets in 2023, where I made like 3 consecutive ones from early on in the beginning of the year. I was right. That was the year that I moved into the space that I live in now, and I was trying to get rid of my scrappy bits. So I grouped the yarns by color. I did a black and gray one, I did a blue and purple one, and I did a yellow one. I made those out of mostly fingering weight, because that's mostly what I knit with. And and I ended up with like a smaller amount that were in the red family, red orange family. That wasn't enough to make a blanket. It would have been enough to make like a small throw. But I've also done smaller versions of these as intentional cat beds or cat throws that just made out of mostly superwash that I could throw in the washing machine and let them air dry, and continue to use them over and over. And the cats just really love them. If I put one of those down anywhere, that's the spot they're gonna go lay in. They just love laying on wool. They understand the insulating I was gonna say component, but that's the wrong word, capacity of wool. So they definitely love and appreciate that, I would say. But pretty funny. So yeah, it is my go-to sort of project whenever I'm trying to burn through a lot of yarn. I think I talked about this last time. I did clean out my I cleaned up my yarn stash. I took all my stash out and took a look at it, and that's how I realized that I had enough of these in this color family of like putting together like natural, light beige, and camel yarns, and with white and these blush pinks, these like soft pinks, like kind of like what I'm wearing. That I had enough of them, enough like single skeins or partial skeins to do a throw. So yeah, but more about that. Let's put a pin in that, in the cleanup that I did, because I do want to at the end I will share footage with you at the end of this episode. I'll share footage with you of my conversion of how I store my stash. So I did go through and I did create a video showing you that. I did it about 10 days ago, I would say a week, 10 days ago. And I really love the results, so you'll get to see that soon. Anyway, I have a new cast on that did not get into a cast on with me episode, primarily because it didn't feel like a big decision. There wasn't a lot of decision making that went into this sweater. But I am making, and I'm like almost done with, actually, not, I shouldn't say almost, but I'm like more than halfway. This is the Always and Forever unicorn sweater. I am making it for my granddaughter. I want to get the designer name because I don't recall off the top of my head. It is by Always and Forever Unicorn Sweater by Wool and Beyond. I don't know if there's a designer name that goes with that. I don't recall, but if there is one, I will put that on screen. It's not in Ravelry that way. So yeah, anyway, this is for my granddaughter Julie. I am making a approximately 30-inch chest. Did I get gauge? Yeah, no, I didn't get gauge. Did I put down the gauge? My gauge was actually smaller. I almost always knit larger. My gauge is almost always bigger than the patterns that I knit. This particular time, my gauge was smaller. It may have a lot to do with the yarn. I am using a DK weight, which is what the pattern said it was what it called for, but for whatever reason, I don't know, I guess Anyway, the pattern so it's intarsia. You're meant to do intarsia in the round, which I have done before, and I didn't particularly enjoy it. So I just figured, you know what, I'm gonna do intarsia flat, so I will join my sleeves or my side seams later. I think you knit the sleeves top down. I believe you knit the sleeves top down. So I'll join the side seams and then cast on for the sleeves as you're meant to. So top down, I knit the back first, and I put it on a yarn holder because I wasn't sure how long, like I knew I had to do the intarsia front, and I wasn't sure where it was going to end when I was done with the pattern, and I wanted to make sure that it would make sense. So I will be going back and doing a 1x1 rib. And then also I'm waiting for my granddaughter's parents, my son and daughter-in-law, to let me know how long would be a good length for my granddaughter Julie, because she is a very tall girl. She's big for her age. She's not like beefy at all, but she's just tall and lanky. So I want to make sure it's long enough. The last sweater I made her last year for Christmas ended up being like kind of borderline too short. It was wearable, but I'm sure it's too short for her now. So yeah, so I am gonna make sure I adjust. I'm aiming for like a size 6-7 sweater size, and her parents requested that I make it big so that she can wear it for a couple years. So I'm trying to do that. You go back and add fringe on the unicorn face. So you add fringe for the mane, so across like the ear and then down. And I think you add like a little forelock here as well. And then you also embroider an eye here. So it's real cute. Another mod that I did besides knitting it in pieces so that I could do true intarsia instead of doing intarsia in the round. Oh my gosh, it went out of my head. What was the other mod? I don't know, but I'm going to talk to you about the intarsia now because I can't remember the other mod. I'm sure it'll come to me. So let me just show you the back. I did carry the color for the horn and the ear, so you can see that here. And I think that'll be fine. Like, there is a little bit of show through. Oh, and I ended up frogging because I did carry the yarn for more of the horse head, for more of the unicorn face, and it looked terrible. So you're seeing a little bit, like, there's some kinkiness to my yarn because I had frogged. I frogged back to the ear. I actually frogged back to the ear, to the armhole, and then re-knit it. And it only took me like an hour or two to do that work because I could see right away that the yarn, the green yarn, was showing through, and it didn't end up, like, this yarn just didn't poof up and fill the gap. I don't know if it's superwash. I'm using Santa's Garn Double Sunday. Is it superwash? Because superwash usually doesn't poof up as much as a non-superwash. I don't know. I'll have to put that on screen because I'm struggling to read it. The print is so tiny for my old eyes. But anyway, it's one of the petite knit colors. I believe it's called Mint. It's not on the label, so I can't tell you. But so it's the mint and then a white color, which I think is just their color number 1001. So I really love it so far. It's been real fun to knit. It's a pretty easy chart to do. To do the intarsia, and yeah, can't think if there was something else. There's a little bit of a drop shoulder, so you do this type of construction. Oh, the other mod I did was the neckline, so I didn't do the neck drop as low as they had you. The pattern required. So there's a little bit of this sort of thing going on. I think actually it's supposed to be kind of like that, like, so it's at an angle. So you're casting on the fronts on the shoulder, but the shoulder seam drops back. So that's something that you will sometimes see on sweater patterns. But anyway, the pattern called for a really low neck drop, and you can kind of see it in some of the other projects that people have knit with this. And I just was like, that's way too low a neck drop. So I modified that. I didn't drop down as low. I think it called for the size I'm making, it called to knit 12 centimeters, and then, which is a little over 4 inches, like 4.5, 4 3/4 inches. And then start your neckline shaping. So I only went to 8 centimeters, which is like 3.5 inches. That's plenty, even if this is rolling back. Yeah, so that's where the sleeves. So that's the way the back will look. The back, that shoulder line will drop back like that. Yarn. But yeah, anyway, looking forward to, once I get this sweater done, or even if I make it to, like, when I'm done with the color work part and I get to the sleeves or whatever, which I think will be this week, I will, I'm going to do a new cast on, because my next cast on is going to be a colorwork sweater, a stranded colorwork sweater, and I have my simple knit here. So I like to have something that's a little more engaging. So that'll be the next sweater I cast on once this one's done. And I have my next simple knit also planned. So I'll be talking about that when I get to it. All right. Spinning. Let's talk about spinning. Oh my God, I just had this drop in my stomach because I thought, oh my God, did I hit record? I did. All right, so spinning, I actually purchased some fiber in a D-stash, and I've been highly aware of the tariffs that are now beginning to impact U.S. consumers, and how now we don't have de minimis grace anymore on small packages. So I've been aware that tariffs are coming, or are now in effect, and I've been trying to be frugal, I think, with my purchases and stuff. I've actually done a great job this year with my purchases, but let me push that aside and talk to you about this. So I bought this fiber in a D-stash. It is a Hello Yarn color pack. She calls it coordinate pack, paint by number. The total bag was 6 ounces and it had 6 colors. So I guess an ounce of each color. This is a Targhee Bamboo Tussa Silk blend. So 80% Targhee, 10% bamboo, 10% silk. Which when I saw it, my thought was, when I saw it in the D-stash, I was like, socks. That's going to make beautiful self-striping socks for one of the men in my life that I knit socks for. And I'm actually going to use this for my son's father-in-law. I'll be spending the holidays at his house, at their house. And the last couple years I've made him socks for Christmas and he really loves them. So I asked this year, should I make him another pair? Do you think he'd like them? So it's kind of becoming this tradition that I make him a pair of socks. These are the only socks that I'm going to be gifting. So what I did this year, which I'll talk about again in a little bit, what I did with this fiber pack was I actually made 2 identical, not identical, but I made 2 skeins, one sock, second sock, and I went ahead and caked one of them so that you could see the color repeat. So it's very much a self-striping color repeat. It's like a rust, chocolate brown, forest green, this sort of greenish yellow, and then a pale blue. Those are the color repeats. There was 1 other ounce of a very similar shade of blue that I took out because I was just like, those 2 colors are too close. I'm going to end up with this big chunk of blue and the striping effect instead of like more regular. I mean, I don't think these stripes, I don't think the 2 socks are going to be they're going to be identical in the way that they stripe. They won't be identical in the number of rows per stripe at all. And I don't think even though I have the color repeating 3 times in each skein, I don't think those 3 repeats are going to necessarily be identical in the number of rows either. Because spinning is, it's a handcraft, so it's hard to, we're not machines. And, the drafting, the hand drafting and stuff that I did to make the yarn was probably varied as I went through the build of the skeins. So I'm excited to get going. That's why I cake this. I now need a small project to carry around with me. So I'm gonna get these socks cast on in the next few days or whatever. So I ended up buying. So I bought that Hello Yarn coordinate paint pack. Coordinate, is that what she called it? Coordinate paint, yes. So that's Hello Yarn. I'm pretty sure I've never spun or purchased from Hello Yarn before, but as far as I know, I've looked at their shop. I just haven't purchased for no other reason than maybe I've just hit the shop at the time that there isn't anything available or whatever. It just hasn't struck me, but I believe this is a coordinated pack from a club because it does have a year on it. It's January 2024. Fiber Club, it says on it. So I think what she does is she creates a multicolored braid that is the Fiber Club, and then the coordinate pack, which you can buy or not buy, so that you can, spin yarn for a project where you'd be mixing the speckle or variegated fiber with the solid fiber, I think. But anyway, I was happy to take these off this other spinner's hands. She was trying to stash down. So I bought this color pack and I bought a second color pack that's similar. And then I bought a third color pack from, it's not the same though. I think it's a braid, a roving braid. So I have these 2 6-ounce packages from Hello Yarn and then a third bag, which is only a 4-ounce pack from Three Water Farms, which I'll show you that when I get to them. I'll show you both of those when I get around to spinning them. But yeah, I'm real happy with that. I do have another big spinning project on my wheel right now, which I will talk about. I'll talk with you next time because it'll be done by then. I'm it's 4 skeins, and I'm working on the 4th skein. It's on my wheel, my spinning wheel. I'm doing the singles, and then I'll be plying that in the coming weeks, coming days, maybe even, possibly. All right, I think that's all I've got for you today, aside from some footage on the reconfiguring the way I store my yarn. So I think I'm probably filmed about 5 or 7 minutes of that, so you can take a look at that. And yeah, I think that's all. I'll leave you to watch that. I probably have waffled about this enough. So I'll leave you to watch that clip if you're interested in seeing that. And I will see you again next time. Hope you're happy crafting and hope you're enjoying your weekend, your week, and take care. So, I am redoing my yarn storage this week. It's going to be a little bit of a process because it involves getting a new cupboard, which I'll show you when it gets here. But this is my current setup, and I really freaking hate it because it's hard to find anything. And it's messy looking. This is in my living room. And in addition, I have this table here for eating at, but I really can't eat at it comfortably. I'll just ignore my inbox there on the screen. It's just all crammed together, so you can kind of see more of a picture here. This is where I sit when I make my podcast. So yeah, this beat up old workbench and storage unit is leaving today. And I'm so excited to find a new home for it. And then I'm gonna set up the table in its place, and that'll be where I'll wind yarn and such. And I'm getting a storage unit that'll go next to the storage unit right there. That'll hold all the yarn. See how it works out. Okay, so here's my follow-up video to the reorganization of my yarn stash and like reconfiguring this side of my living room. So now I got rid of the work table. I got a vertical cupboard for my yarn stash, and yeah, so now I can have the table set up. I can easily seat 5 there for dinner by just like flipping the wings up. These are some wings right here, and then I can also pull it out and seat 6 total. I have my yarn winder set up with the holder for the Swift right here, and like right here I can work. So during the day when I work from home, I can sit here put my computer here. I actually have it behind me right now. And yeah, and this is where I normally sit, for podcasts. So I can easily back that up and sit next to Martha. You're getting a sneak peek at it's probably not a sneak by the time you see this. And what I put here in this tray are things that I am planning to either, like I need to wind that skein, but the other 2 skeins and the pink are all there for me to talk about on my next episode. So this is a tray I just put there as a catch-all, and this is a sculptural piece that is, I had nowhere to put it. I have way more art than I can fit around the apartment. So I actually have one more piece I need to figure out where it goes. But let me, not a problem for this. Let me walk you over to here to show you the setup here. I'm really not happy with this, and that's my pet cam. I'm really not happy with this situation up here. There's too much junk. I think the bottom line is that I need to reduce stash still. Like I still have more. I've been editing my stash quite a lot and destashing, as well as trying to knit from things that I have. But I still have more to go. I have a couple things down here on the floor that don't fit. So these are my next spinning projects right there, fleece for spinning projects. And these are, that's the, in the owl bag is the awesomer gossamer that I need to finish. And then below it is my next cast on, just all the yarn prepped for my next cast on. And then in the cupboard behind this beautiful screen are all of the, not sure I can open that all the way with that fleece there. I can open this side. It's a little cluttered. I do want to reduce the stash, as I said, and cut out, get rid of some of this stuff. But it's basically all my yarn, and it's easily accessible. Aside from like places where I've piled in, these are long hibernating whips that I either need to frog and put back in my stash, especially that one, I think, and or finish them. But now, like, everything's easily accessible. I can get, like, if I want to pick out a skein and see if it'll work in a project, I can easily grab it without too much ado. I did end up just putting skeins loose. I realized that I could stash more yarn by putting it in the cupboard loose rather than in these baskets, especially these with lids. I love these, but the lids take up, you can see there's extra space on either side. They take up extra room, and the baskets themselves don't hold as much as these with no lids hold. So I actually considered for a moment just switching to all of those, that style, and getting rid of the lidded ones, but I ended up making it work pretty well. The two down on the bottom don't have their lids on, they're underneath them. But and same with this one, but it's all good. But yeah, at the end of the day, stuff just needs to get knit up, and I need to stop squirreling away yarn. And the cupboard is from CB2. It was pretty hard to find. I needed a cupboard of a certain size, so it couldn't be wider than 35 inches. This one's 34, so there's a little bit of extra room by the wall and between the two cupboards. This cupboard here is my bar, I guess. It's got mostly glasses in it. There's some bottles in there too. I'm not a big drinker, so it's mostly for when I have company. Keep wine in there and stuff like that. So I did edit out some stuff in there. But anyway, going back to the cupboard. This one's from Anthropology from several years ago. I've had it like at least 5 years, maybe longer. This is from CB2. I just got it. I got it on a Labor Day sale here in the US. And yeah, it was a good deal. They delivered it this morning and assembled it for me and placed it here. I really like the mesh doors and how you can see. I didn't think I would like it. I really thought I wanted everything hidden. I wanted to have a less cluttered look than I had before. That was one of the things that really bothered me about my old cupboards, or that there were no doors. I considered putting doors on them. But this too, like, I could put fabric behind the doors if ultimately I want to do that. I would put like black fabric behind it or white fabric behind it probably. But the brass legs, or the brass legs, yes, brass doors themselves really go well with much of the other decor in the living room. I have another piece that my television's on that has brass accents, and there's brass accents in the chandelier. But yeah, anyway, here's where I'm at. But yeah, anyway, let me know what you think.